Hey everyone, it's Ryan Henry. Thanks for catching this episode of the Bright Ideas podcast, where each episode we talk to another business owner about their journey into entrepreneurship. And today we have not only an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur who helps other business owners. We have Joshua Payne with Guardian Chamber. Joshua, how you doing today?
Thank you, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great.
Great.
Yeah,
so,
thank you for inviting me.
Oh man, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning here, we like to sit down and talk to people who own their own business and talk about their journey of how it all came together, essentially.
Yeah.
So you're on the early side of your career yet.
Yeah.
We were talking just before we got down to the podcast here, but you're 32 this year, right?
Yes, correct.
So college is kind of recent, but a growing distant memory. So
Yeah.
Tell everyone a little bit about what your resume looks like. What'd you go to school for? Where'd you go? What'd you like about it?
Yeah, I went to school for a Bachelor's of Science in Acoustics. I graduated with that,
Okay.
with honors, I believe.
Nice.
So that's the physics of sound and how sound behaves as a vibration, and kind of from that also just vibration in general is what I studied. So
Nice.
I went up to differential equations in math and linear algebra, which is like matrices, and kind of, taking like the eigenvalue and doing all sorts of things like that. I don't know if anyone listening has any idea what I'm talking about at this point.
So let's oversimplify it a little bit here.
Yeah.
So acoustics is essentially the mathematical study of how to make something sound good in a space, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yes. And then I, in school, had an internship with the Department of Defense.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I guess I'll stop there. But
So-
so there's technological applications as well.
But there's also things you can't share with people or you have to kill them.
Yeah.
Okay. So where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Columbia College, Chicago.
Okay.
It was an interesting kind of route that took me there. I wanted to record music,
Okay.
and so I got into Columbia for that purpose.
Okay.
And then someone in the student guidance office basically called me up and said, like, hey, your math scores and science scores are like really good, and we would recommend that you go and study acoustics instead, because you'll get a steady job. Like, if you end up in music production, it's going to be a crapshoot. Like, you might be feeling understimulated in classes and things like that. I don't know if I agree with them, but it was a good choice. I loved studying acoustics.
So a couple of questions here. So Columbia and Chicago. So are you from Chicagoland, or are you from here in Indy? Are you from somewhere else?
I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. So you got to see all the fun commercials like Empire, the
Yeah,
carpet dude.
588. In fact, one of the cool things about, do you know Empire, and then there was Walter E. Smith. Do you know Walter E. Smith?
Yeah.
Walter E. Smith. Yeah. You dream it, we build it.
Or do you remember Victory Auto Wreckers, the 78 Ford, and he gives you $80 in old school 80s 20s for your car that he tows away?
I didn't see that one. No.
See, that's where the generational divide starts to open up.
Well, speaking of generational divides, Walter E. Smith one year handed out a Christmas DVD of Hard Rock Coco and Joe.
Yeah.
And so I had never heard of this, and then all of a sudden when I was 8 years old or something, it was like the Christmas song of the season for me.
For that year.
So, there was a lot of really cool small to medium-sized business things going around during those years. I think, the early 2000s and 90s. Everything was just prosperous enough that people were investing in their businesses in pretty strange ways.
Yes. So let's talk here. So you went to school for music initially before you moved to acoustics. So what instruments do you play?
I play guitar and I sing.
Okay.
Yeah, not well, but I do.
Hey, that's all right. You know what? You could sing if you're willing to do it. That's good enough.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, you talk to a guidance person, and they recommend acoustics instead, saying
Correct.
you'll be more intellectually stimulated. Is that what their angle was?
That's what they were telling me, I think. And also they were saying that I would have a more steady career and maybe not the same capacity to earn as because if you're a music producer and you blow up, like
You're going to blow up quickly.
You're going to blow up quickly. But it was more of like a steady upward slope over time that had more job security to it. And
Gotcha.
So that was cool. That didn't happen for me. But yeah.
Now, are you still floating a demo out there somewhere?
There's a demo. Josh Payne, his vocals are recorded somewhere, and his guitar is recorded, and it's out there somewhere. Good luck finding it.
Okay. So everyone here, treat that as a treasure hunt. So if
Yeah.
you find it, you got to get a hold of Joshua, and you got to let him know that you found it.
You have to tell me the band name and which song you liked best.
Okay. And how much would you pay to see him live?
Oh, I throw on a show. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, we're here trying to get you some more business in new ways.
Yeah. Do you know Taking Back Sunday?
Yes.
So Matt Lazara, I think his name is. I forget what his last name is. But he does this thing where he would whip the microphone around and it would like go around his neck and and so I didn't do that quite, but I like got after it with a microphone for real.
Nice.
Yeah. I made it fun.
Nice. So you graduate. What prompted your move to Indianapolis from the Chicagoland area?
Yes. Great question. So can I start back in COVID?
Sure.
Because in COVID, I was living down in Florida at the time.
Okay.
And kind of got a little nervous. My parents are up in Chicago, and I didn't know, okay, is it as bad as they say? Is it not? Because a lot of people down in Florida didn't seem to care about COVID and what was happening, which was, it was great to be there for that time. But then, up in Chicago, things were really shutting down. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, if it's really bad and something were to happen to my parents, I don't want to be halfway across the country from them.
That's fair.
With everything shut down.
Yeah.
So I moved back to Chicago. Then after a couple of years, things started getting better, and my cousin lives down in Indianapolis.
Okay.
I had figured out through the course of, I've worked a lot of different jobs, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what I like, what I don't like. And one of the things that I'm really bad at is working underneath a manager. I'm like one of the most unemployable people that I know.
So you truly are a musician.
Yes. With a big ego to boot.
So you don't work good with people. So, okay.
No, I work great with people.
But not above you people.
No, I work great with above me people if they're confident in what they're doing. I think a lot of middle management that I've worked with, that I've had issues with, I think don't like how many questions I ask.
Okay.
Because I want to get to know what I'm doing intimately so that I can be an expert. And if you were to walk through the door and I was to give you customer service, that I could be confident and certain that I could give you everything that you need to be an informed buyer.
So essentially you want to be as knowledgeable about what you're selling as the person who owns the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of middle management didn't like that. The owners typically were okay.
Right, but the people they put in between that have to manage you just weren't having it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, my cousin works down here in Indianapolis. He lives here. Mm-hmm. He owns a telematics company, which is like Snapshot by Progressive.
Okay.
So
the plugins to your car.
Yeah, and he does big fleets. He landed a contract with with a couple hundred trucks.
Okay, nice.
And he basically said, hey, the schedule that I have to implement these and the number of implementations that I need to do, the number of installs that I need to do, I need someone who's like all hands on deck, who I can just give a list of things to do to, and who can just get them done under their own prerogative.
So that sounds like your kind of deal.
Yeah. Like, he once described me as a dog with a Frisbee. Like, all he needed to do was throw it, and then I would just go get it, you know? And so long as you're okay with the fact that I'm going to get it and bring it back, and that you don't care if I'm going under this tree or over that tree trunk, or if I'm going through the pond or around the pond, right? As long as you just care about the Frisbee coming back, I will work great for you.
So the results.
Yes.
Don't ask how. Just be happy it's done the way you want it done.
Yeah, and I care a lot about doing it the right way, you know. So, like, for instance, I might go around the pond because I don't want to, you know, get wet.
Right.
But that might, in certain managers' eyes, you know, it's like, well, that's less time efficient, right?
Well, but
so
it's hard to swim with a Frisbee.
not impossible, not if you're a dog.
But it's much harder than it.
Yeah.
All right, so you got down here to Indianapolis. You're working with your cousin.
Yeah.
How are things going?
Very well. Swimmingly is the word that I'd like to use there, because it references the dog swimming.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. See, never be afraid to just run with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was going very well. He was installing, and I was helping him install all those telematics devices. We were working with a lot of boutique trucking companies that had small fleets. And so we kind of saw how good business was. We saw, you know, we had some ideas surrounding, hey, you know, if we got into this business, we could probably change these little things and make business better even.
Okay.
So we had the thought, which a lot of entrepreneurs have, which is, hey, we could probably do this ourselves, and we might even be able to do it better.
Okay.
You know, and so we started hatching our plan. I did some research, loved the idea of opening a business, and figured out that trucking is a really great business to be in for the right people. And each truck, it's super scalable as a business model, because each truck, like a Kenworth triaxle T680 right now from Palmer Trucks in town is right around $250,000, if not a little more.
So for people who don't know what that is, that's a semi, right?
That's a triaxle.
Okay, so what's a triaxle compared to a semi?
Yeah, a triaxle is the one with the big dumpster that's always attached that can dump.
Ah, the people who should drive with their top covered but usually don't.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so they're the ones that are like dumping asphalt everywhere or chipping your windshield on the highway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so $250,000.
Yeah.
So,
So each truck is worth about that.
okay.
And then the revenue that the truck can bring in is anywhere from like $200,000 to $250,000 per year.
Okay, so if you do it right, you could recoup your investment the first year.
Yeah, and you can build a very scalable business.
Okay.
Yeah, the way that it works, you know, is you typically, and this kind of gets into a little bit of what I'm doing now, but a lot of dump trucking companies now want to do it that way, where they pay cash for a truck, and they might buy an older used
unit.
beater, right? Or an older unit that, you know, maybe they have some mechanical know-how, so they trust buying an older unit because they would know how to deal with it. And so they will just dump anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 into a vehicle, and then kind of go from there. They'll pay cash, right? And then they'll build up their business to the point where they can pay cash for the next one. And then they'll pay cash for the next one.
And then hoping that one of those trucks doesn't have a critical failure in between.
Right. And then hoping that they never get to the place where they have to pay taxes when they close their business. Because the way that works is if you're paying cash and then writing it off in taxes, you know, you're basically just deferring and deferring and deferring and deferring and deferring. And if you keep doing that, eventually you'll just have a huge tax bill that'll come your way.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not.
I'm not a tax expert. We at the firm that I'm working at, we have tax experts, but I've heard of trucking companies being in a lot of trouble because of that.
But that brings up a really good point that now as we start to talk about what you're doing today, that if you don't understand the tax implications of what you're doing, it could screw your business.
Oh yeah, you should definitely, if you're getting into business, a CPA should definitely be like someone that you talk to within your first year, if not sooner.
Okay. So you guys go out on your own, and you notice that you have clients that are paying cash for older trucks. They're taking a risk on mechanical problems, hoping they can fix it.
Right.
So where does that lead you?
So I did this, I happen to know some people that work at Palmer, and so they had just started recently, within the past few years, at the time that I had begun the business, not a leasing program, but a true rental program. They structured it as kind of like micro leasing, I think, because, and this is, again, getting into some weeds that I'm not exactly sure on, but for some reason, renting trucks like that was not the norm at the time.
Okay.
And so I had kind of like a deposit, safety deposit, put down, and then I would just pay like monthly, essentially the same cost as if I was purchasing the truck.
So you basically made a truck payment, but as a rental fee.
Yeah, and you can convert it into a purchase, but the reason they do that, and the reason I was taking advantage of it, is because, December, January, maybe February, you don't have business. You don't have business.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, well, for my first couple years, let's do it this way until we figure out that we've got the business nailed down, and then we can convert all of the trucks that we're renting into purchases.
Okay.
So that's what I was doing, and got to work in trucking for a while. I think my whole stint in trucking lasted from I did hot shot for a while to kind of get to like learn just logistics ropes in general. So I was hauling freight boxes with a pickup.
Okay.
And a gooseneck trailer.
So essentially kind of a fifth wheel, but on a pickup instead of
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started that in 2021, early 2021, January.
Okay, so COVID's still a big problem in the world.
COVID's still a big problem in the world. And then I left dump trucking after I had opened the business, gotten going on that. Left dump trucking in early 2025.
Okay, so just here recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so you hold a CDL still, or did it at one time?
Yeah, my CDL's still good.
Okay, so now
Class A.
Okay, so that means you could drive.
I could drive a semi-truck. Yeah.
Okay, so you could be one of those guys on the road that camps out in the left lane and we can't see around them and those kind of things.
Yeah. I'm not that guy, though. I'm not that guy. No.
I just have to give you a hard time.
Yeah.
All right, so we met since you have gotten started with an organization called Guardian Chamber.
Correct. Yeah.
We crossed paths at a networking event.
Yeah.
And, tell everyone a little bit about how that journey came to be.
So Guardian Chamber came to be because, in a way, it was this like long precipitating road. My parents are both entrepreneurs, and so I joke that I've been a consultant since I could really talk.
Okay.
Because I was telling my parents my ideas of how they could be doing their business better, you know, and so I. Fast forward all the way, right? I was running this trucking business and putting in a lot of hours, making it work. We had a successful year. We could have rolled it forward into another successful year. And, I had success before that even. But I'm talking about the last year that happened was good, right? the plan for the next year was just as solid, if not more so, because I had, worked out the kinks and we had finally hit our stride. I sat down at an Excel spreadsheet. My wife was like 9 months pregnant, and worked all the numbers out and found, hey, if I could save even 0.5% on the purchase of a truck in interest rate, and if I can find $20 a week, that can translate into putting us into a new home and a new car.
Okay.
Right? Like as far as what that savings could buy us on the personal end. Mm-hmm. And I just had no idea how to make it happen. And everyone was telling me like, well, no, it's prime plus 1 or prime plus 2. I'm
whatever that institution's offering today.
Yeah. There's a bit of a tongue twister.
Prime plus 1, prime plus 2.
So, whatever the institution is offering. And so at the time it was like, well, you're not going to get a truck for anything less than like 7.25 or something like that. And it was like, if I could get a truck for 6.25, or if I could get a truck for even 6.5, that
makes a huge difference.
That makes a huge difference. And so I had those stirrings for a few months before I met Jerry Vaughn, who is the owner of Guardian Chamber.
Okay.
And we met at a local networking event and for business owners, and he kind of plucked me out as someone interesting to talk to, I guess. And it's really funny. At the time, I was really heavily considering not running my business the next year. Mm-hmm. I was considering either doing an acquisition of another small business locally, or just going to try to find like a high earning employment so that I could maybe save up for 3 years and then try to go back into it, because my second daughter was on the way.
Okay.
And so I kind of wanted to speed up the stabilization portion of my life, because anyone in small business can tell you that, starting and running a small business does not typically equate to a stable financial life.
Not at all.
Yeah. So I was dealing with all these woes. My daughter is born. Oh, wait, no, let me go back. So I met Jerry, and I actually picked him out as this guy. He's like, I was thinking, I think he spoke to dang near everyone at this event. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to email him my resume, and I'm just going to have him figure out where to send it. Because I was thinking, he would be the guy that'd be able to introduce me to someone.
Yeah, he's going to know who you want to talk to.
Right. And so he called me back. My second daughter was born. Let me go in the sequence. Yeah. The exact
so
sequence. So
when was she born?
December 27th.
Okay. Of last year?
Of 2024.
Okay. So she's going to be 2 this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, clearest thing I've ever heard in my life as I'm holding her for the first time. I attribute it to the Holy Spirit. I'm a believer. And just like clearest voice ever, get out of the truck. And it felt like permission, because my parents, being both entrepreneurs, like definitely taught me never to quit something. And it, even with that, it took me a while to actually obey.
Understand it.
Yeah.
Does not compete.
So like I was holding on, and like even in February and March, I was planning on getting back going in trucking. And so Jerry reaches out to me in that in-between time and says, hey, I found someone that I think might want to, hire you after looking at your resume. I said, great, who is it? And he said, well, I think it might be me.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, tell me what you do. He said, well, I'm a business consultant. And I immediately was like that means nothing.
Right. Everyone's a consultant.
Yes. I was like, that slop is my, I'm a musician, so I'm very colorful with my wordings.
Right.
So I was like, this, you've told me nothing as to what you do. I've asked you what you do, and you've not responded. And so it took about 2 months of us meeting and me interrogating him.
So he was a very patient person.
He is a very patient, and and again, like I like to buck at authority just to see if it's still actually
so you're pushing
in authority.
You're pushing.
Yeah, I'm pushing, and I'm giving it to, and he is just super gracious, super patient the whole time, answering my questions. And at the end of about 2 months of meeting with him and holding the light up to him, asking him where he was on the night of, I finally got to this point where I was like, I see the value in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the way that you've handled this interaction thus far. And, I think on some level, the way in which my story comes together surrounding this new chapter of my life, like, this is the right choice to make. So I ended up joining his team.
Nice. And which sounds like a logical step, because you were in an industry that if you're trying to get a loan to purchase one of these vehicles, you have to have pristine credit for your business.
Yeah.
So give everyone the 10,000-foot top-level overview of what is Guardian Chamber.
Guardian Chamber is, we've switched from business consulting.
Okay, right. Hopefully more descriptive now.
Yeah, we say we're a local business strategy firm, and we're helping business owners with clarity over their business and their numbers, access to capital through corporate credit, which means no personal guarantees, and better rates and terms, and then control to run the business the way that they want to, instead of having the business run their life, which is a lot of what business owners find themselves feeling, that the business is running their life as opposed to the other way around.
They've essentially created themselves a job that they're chained to.
They've created a high obligation, high responsibility job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the difference between personal credit and what corporate credit is. So obviously to build that, it does take time.
Yeah.
But traditionally, if someone starts a business and they want a loan right away, they're personally guareteeing it,
Correct.
which means they're putting their own assets and savings on the line for that loan product.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so there's two, sorry, I'm like biting my lip. There's like a loose piece of skin. There's two vehicles that you can build credit on. There's your social security number, and there's your company's employee identification number.
So your EIN.
Which functions as the social security number for the business.
Right.
Under social security, that's where the personal credit is, right? Your social security number, because it's only you can use it, so it's personal.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Under your personal credit, there is true personal credit, and then there's this thing called business credit. That's a product that a lot of banks or lenders sell, which is really personal credit with business limits intended for the use of business. Yeah.
So it's not really a corporate credit.
No. And so there's a lot of people that I've spoken with that say things like, "Oh yeah, like," and I'm not, I will not attribute malice, where ignorance is a better explanation, but there are a lot of people where they'll say, "Oh well, the lender that I spoke to, or the lender that gave me this line of credit, told me that it's on the business," and it's like, okay, it might be that they are going to come after the business first,
but then they're going to come after you.
But if you signed your social security number, then if they, and it's common for certain banks to ask for an appraisal on your home when giving you a business loan.
Because that's what they're going to come for.
Because that's what they're going to come for. Yeah. And so, and I don't think they're doing that maliciously, right? A lot of bankers haven't even heard about true corporate credit because a lot of bankers are captive to whatever their bank is doing. And that's about all I'll say on that. And if you'd like to hear more, I'm happy to meet. But as far as the corporate credit side goes, you have to build it intentionally. There's only certain lenders and vendors that will report the commerce that happens between your business and them to the corporate credit bureaus. So on the personal side, you have, Equifax, TransUnion,
Who's the third one?
I think it's Experian. I think Experian does both.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, and it happens automatically. Like any commerce that you do personally will kind of magically appear on your credit report, good or bad, Whereas on the business side, it costs lenders and vendors money to report positively for you. It costs them nothing to report negatively. So a lot of them just don't do reporting unless they,
are owed money.
And then they want to basically give you the obligation to pay back, right? And so that's how the corporate credit is built. And there's 3 corporate credit bureaus: Duns and Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. And not all lenders and vendors report to all 3. Some only report to some, and some, if you're in certain industries, it might make sense for you to have a strong corporate profile with, one corporate credit bureau more than the other, but the best route forward is to have a strong credit profile across all 3.
Okay. And so at the core of what Guardian Chamber does, it is helping business owners to build that up so they have access to better lending options when it's time to expand. Well,
I would say the core of what Guardian Chamber does is financial management. And corporate credit is just one of the best tools out there for business owners who are wanting to secure their personal assets and are operating their business at a level where a misstep could really come to, harm them. But most of what we're doing is using that corporate credit not to put you in debt, but as a tool to help engineer cash flow, help engineer company value. We're trying to optimize and get more money for the business owner without the business owner necessarily having to change anything about what they're doing or grow in revenue.
Nice. So before we continue any further, let's pause for a second and tell folks how can they get a hold of you.
You can reach out to me by phone number is probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, well, tell them what it is.
317-617-6582. And I will always respond to a text. I will do my best to get back to a voicemail within 24 to 48 hours.
Nice.
But a text is the way to go, for sure.
So, hey, that works for me because I could text back in a meeting and say, man, I'm busy. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
It's instantaneous.
Well, what's really nice about the text for me is it shows up and then it's unread, but the notification is right there. And so then when I have time, I can just sit back and read all of my unread messages.
There you go.
So you can also reach me by email, which is jpayne, Payne, at guardianchamber.com. And that is also a good way to get a hold of me.
Nice. So before we continue here, let's talk about the connection between Guardian Chamber and you as an entrepreneur. So you are an independent consultant, right? So anything that you do for somebody is done, yes, under the Guardian Chamber name, but it is through your own business, correct?
Kind of, not really. There's an interesting structure there, but ultimately, I am on the team with Guardian Chamber, and we operate as a team. For instance, last week I had a meeting set up to close some business, and I was unable to make it because I fell ill. And then, one of my team members came in and, met with my member and helped them to finalize everything and close the business when I wasn't able to do so. So it really is more of a team environment, but yes, I am also a business owner in my own right.
Okay.
In a sense.
So it gives you that freedom of not having the mid-level manager that you just can't possibly work with.
Yeah.
But you have a team of people that can step in when something exceeds what you're able to do.
Yeah, it's really nice because even though I'm not exactly the best at working with a middle manager type, I'm really good at being obligated. So if I'm obligated to you in some way,
you're gonna make it happen.
I'm good. It's gonna happen.
Nice.
And so I get the obligation of being on a team and the independent agency of, well, it's up to me to build my book within Guardian Chamber. But again, there's some members that the team might get their arms around altogether. So, later this week, I'm meeting with my team member and a potential member as well, Guardian Chamber member. And if we land the business, it's going to be both of us.
Nice.
Working on that. So and even if it is my member or someone else's member within the team, it's all hands on deck. So
Nice.
it's a full team.
So let's talk about for a second, what are some of the biggest industries that are going to find the most value in what Guardian Chamber does?
Hands down, home services, trades, construction.
So the people who need to float a lot of money very quickly.
Yes. Those people, it's almost a no-brainer. I don't want to embellish on that too much.
That's fair.
I tend to maybe be a little too pointed when I talk about it a little more, but yes, it's definitely, if you are in any business where you're working on someone's house for them, or working inside of someone's house and providing a service like that, it makes a lot of sense for you to talk to Guardian Chamber.
Nice.
Yeah.
So inside of doing that, you mentioned that corporate credit is really just one of the things that you're able to provide.
Yeah.
So if you want, go ahead and take the drink for a second.
No,
but what's the process look like when someone calls and says, "Hey man, Joshua, I need your help," and you sit down and you close the business? Let's walk through that. What are you doing for them?
Let's walk back, because if they call me up and say, "Hey Joshua, I need your help," I will get on a call with them. We'll find out what they need the help about, and I might tell them no for working with us at Guardian Chamber. But I will make sure that they get pointed in the right direction of what they need to do. And we might even be able to offer some suggestions that they can focus on, and then say in 6 months they want to revisit the conversation of working with Guardian Chamber, then that might be something that we can help with. Now, if we do get to the point where we both say yes, because, even in meeting, they might decide, well, actually, Guardian Chamber is not for me. That's fine. But if we both say yes, then what happens is the step-by-step action items are, we need your address and the name of the business as it's filed with the government, and then we'll send an invoice for services. As soon as the invoice is paid, you will get a secure link to upload some financial files to, so that we can, get our hands in the pasta, as they say in Italy. And so we will then start working. on the business, getting some assessments done. The first month is all about setting up your credit profile and making sure that your filings are correct with the government and across all 3 credit bureaus. Because once we really start doing financial work within the business, we want to make sure that all of that is being properly captured across all channels. It kind of makes no sense for us to, I mean, it could make sense. It's less optimal for us to really start doing all this work and improving the business, and then
go back and fix a bunch of stuff.
Because you can't go back and capture credit.
Right.
You know, you can only build it going forward. And time is a valuable asset. So we want to build that starting first. And then from there, it would be monthly check-in calls, monthly reports, and in the second month, we would start with cash flow, improving the cash flow of the business. We do quarterly, I like to call them fractional board meetings.
Okay.
Strategy sessions where we review the previous quarter and we plan ahead for the next quarter. All sorts of things. It kind of, when we meet with the business owner, we get our hands around where are they now, where do they want to be, and what does it look like to get there. And part of our proposal that we would send before closing business includes a 12-month roadmap as we see it to get them from where they are to where they want to be. And so along that first year, it would basically be making sure we're keeping up with that roadmap and getting things done that we need to get done.
Nice. So, but the end goal of your program is to make sure that when a business needs to access capital, they can access more of it with better terms without guaranteeing with their home or their own personal assets.
The end goal of Guardian Chamber is to make sure that the entrepreneur who is our member is financially secure, has their options available, financially free, and living life where they are on top of the business instead of stuck in the day-to-day.
Nice.
And part and parcel with that is the ability to access capital at lower rates and terms in a way that's not going to come back and harm them personally.
Nice.
Because, you know, we all love being in America at Guardian Chamber. We're fueled by faith, and we love the fact that we're in a country where anyone can go to the SBA and open a small business, or even just bootstrap it completely without going to the SBA. It's great, but a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, are really putting their necks out and risking a lot in order to create and achieve, create these opportunities that they're creating for others if they get to the point where they're hiring, especially. And we've noticed that there's just not a lot of support for them in the way that we're supporting. And so wanting just to make sure that they have people who are in their corner, not an equity partner. We don't work with equity.
Okay, so you don't want part ownership of the business?
No, because it's flat rate, and that's basically because, you know, there has to be some skin in the game.
Yeah.
But if we were to do equity, it just gets really messy really quickly, and you don't want us to do equity,
right? Because if it blows up, then they owe you a ton of money,
right? and you don't want us to do performance based either, because then you'll end up paying us a lot more than we're actually asking from you. And so, that the end goal is a business owner who is running the business the way they want to.
Nice.
And not having the business run them.
So one more time here, give everyone your phone number, text or call, right?
Yeah.
All right, what is that number?
317-617-6582. Do you like put it up?
No, but why don't you read it one more time just to be thorough?
Okay, 317-617-6582.
And one last time, your email address.
jpayne, Payne, at guardianchamber.com.
Awesome. Well, Joshua, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
And to everyone watching here, if you want to take control of the financial health of your business, give Joshua Payne at Guardian Chamber a call. I'll do my best to put the number down here. I don't know. Maybe you just kind of convinced me there.
Is it like blinking?
No, but I don't know. You know what? Let's see. You watching, you'll be surprised. You'll know more than we know here. But contact Joshua Payne at Guardian Chamber. Everyone, if you enjoyed this episode today, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you know a small business owner that we should interview next, make sure to tag them in the comments. We're always looking for new people to talk to. So I'm Ryan Henry, idea guy and co-founder of INSPIREsmall.biz, saying thanks for watching.